religion tries to deal with this problem of evil by restricting people of their freedom, right? By creating rules and regulations. We don't trust people. We're born a bunch of sinners, so we don't trust them. So we have to teach them how not to do the bad things and how to do the good things. And how do you do that, right? How do you try to control people to stay away from evil and encourage them to do good, except to make a law, right? Make rules and say this is what you must do. These are the things you cannot do, right? So in the Old Testament, I think in the Old Testament, somebody said there's about over 600 rules and laws that people that followers have to follow. In Christianity, it really depends on who your pastor is. There's maybe 200, 500, maybe even 1,000 things that people will say which is allowed and which is not allowed. And so basically, we are trained from a young age to think like what is okay and what is not okay. Those laws and rules just doesn't seem to work, because what Paul says in the New Testament is that the law in itself might be good. It's got good intentions, and we don't want people to commit adultery and murder and all that kind of stuff. But once you make a law, then basically what happens is you make sinners out of them, right? So it increases sin. The more laws that we make, the more sinners we make in the world. And we know that as Christians, we have given up already. We don't even think that Jesus is going to win. We have this theology where the world is going to get worse and worse and worse. The devil is so strong. He's going to rule the world. He's the prince of the earth. Christians can't do anything about it. Things are going to get worse and worse and worse. But then at the end, when Jesus comes, he's going to judge everyone who are not Christians, right? Send them to hell forever. Which means that we don't have a very positive outlook of this world, right? It's going to get worse. And there's nothing us or Jesus or the Spirit of God and the power of the resurrection, there's nothing we can really do about it. That's the teaching, so we've given up already. So what we're going to do is, from the people that do believe in Jesus, we try to bring more people into the faith. We say, here's what you should do and here are the things you cannot do, right? Following the rules. Which basically is what Jesus, when he was talking to the Pharisees and the religious people of the Old Testament, he said, man, you don't care about people. All you care about is what they look like, As long as they don't do stupid things, as long as they look like they're a good person, that's all that really matters, but you don't know what's going on in the inside. When Jesus called the Pharisees and scribes, right, you brood of vipers and you snakes and, call them a bunch of names, and he said, you're like a whitewashed tomb, right? It looks beautiful on the outside, but on the inside, it's just dead, rotten bones. It is dead inside, and he calls them a hypocrite. We got to take care of what's in the inside so that our outside could be just as clean. And that's what Jesus was saying. He's saying, doing good, that having the power to overcome the way we think and to not just follow rules, but to have the desire to follow God and have fellowship with God. That's what's more important. To know that there's no fear, there's no resentment, no shame, no guilt, if you will, no jealousy, no envy. When those things are out because of the fact that we have fellowship with Jesus Christ, then I think that we could do, right? We could do what is right in this world. Every one of us already have the values that God wants us to have. You don't have to follow anyone telling you what to do and what not to do. If we have the values in us, and we trust in our instincts and our values because God is within us, and if we talk to our conscience to do what is right, regardless of what we've been taught to everything else, to do what is right, the values that God has given to us, then we could be heroic to overcome things, It's not just about doing things so that the other people think that we are good, but having the heart of God, the love of God, the value of God. We have it in us. We just have to believe that we have it, that we have a connection with God, right? So once we are set free from the worldly, commandments that tells you do this instead of that kind of a thing, but we connect with God and say, I trust in the values God has given to me, I'm gonna follow, I think then we could do heroic things in life. I truly do. Now, how do I think we are created in God's image. He has breathed into our lives. Jesus, when he went to heaven, said, I'm going to send you another spirit. You have the power that the spirit that raised Jesus from the dead is within us. I mean, those are all things, good things that could empower us to do good in this world. You know, there's a verse in the Bible too when Jesus tells people, why are you always so worried? Why are you downcast? Why are you like this? I mean, look at the birds in the air. And birds in the air is amazing. How do they know how to fly south during the winter days so they could to a warmer climate? How would they know? I mean, you hear about grunions and how they come ashore and to lay the eggs, and who taught them how to do these things? And scientists always say it's in their DNA. They already have it. Now, if birds have those kind of things, God takes care of them by giving them a DNA that allows them to fly south. Automatically, they just know it. Well, what makes you think that we don't have that as human beings? If God cares for the birds and the flowers, how much more would he love us and take care of us, right? So it's not that we have to follow another human being with all these rules and regulations. We're not to, seek other people's approval, but trusting in the fact that God has spoken to us and we have the values, right? God's values in us, and we trust in it and just go with it. Just go with it. I think maybe we won't feel so guilty about breaking laws, and we don't feel ashamed about breaking rules. We don't feel like an outcast because of it and whatnot. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And I really think that when Jesus said, I had come to set you free, I think when he said, yeah, you could say he has set us free from sin. But what makes us sinners is rules, it's guidelines, it's laws that says, here in LA, they just passed a law that you cannot, I think they just passed it, or they're planning on passing it, that you cannot walk and text at the same time, or you get a $100 ticket, right? Now, the things that we've been doing for years and years and years, over one night we're gonna get a $100 fine. That's totally unfair to people who get a ticket, because not everybody who texts and walks is gonna get a ticket. Only a few will, and when they do, they're not gonna feel good about themselves. They're gonna feel guilty. Paul said that law does three things. First, it makes you understand that you're a sinner, that you're no good. You can't help it but to break the law. And then you're always afraid that you're going to get busted because you're breaking the law. I mean, what kind of life is that? So we're always afraid. We know we're no good, and we can't help it but to sin. So that's what law creates. Law, God didn't create that. Jesus didn't create that. Law created that. It's no wonder people are depressed and they're anxious, and they're always throwing insults at one another because there's a lot of frustration, because we're sinners. We can't help it but to sin, and we're gonna get punished. And it's no wonder Christians are already given up and say, devil won. They're gonna rule this world forever and ever until Jesus comes to destroy them, because we can't do anything about it, right? That's what Christians preach. I think we should give Jesus a little bit more power than that. And the only way we can do it is to say, I'm going to do it on my own, right? Myself. I'm going to rely on the DNA, the spirit that God has given to me to talk to my own conscience about what is right and wrong, so that I could choose to do what is right and choose to do. So then I don't have to judge anyone else, but I could surely talk to my conscience and understand what's going in my mind, and I could overcome some of the negative things in my mind to do good in this world. What do you think? Right? Making laws going to change things? Aren't we just trying to make it look like we're holy and good on the outside, but on the inside we're just rotting away? There's only one way that we could break free from that kind of a life, was Jesus Christ, right? Where we know that his value is in us, and we could trust in ourselves, that we could talk to ourselves to know what we ought to do, and we could follow, right? If we could just change ourselves, just not anyone else, just myself, and help just people to see it, giving them the power to do it, allow them to be the heroes, then maybe the world would be a brighter place. Now I'm still holding on to the faith that the world will get better, right? Because we have the power of the Spirit. But it starts with me, it starts with you, just one at a time. And I hope it spreads. God bless you. I'll see you next time.